From foxes having way too many features in Bedrock Edition to how many cakes you can stack in your inventory, here is every Minecraft Bedrock versus Java Edition difference explained. Did you know that riding pigs in Java Edition is much better than in Bedrock? Because in Bedrock, not only they are slower, but they have huge delays when turning and won't look up or down when player does, which is not the case for Java. Also, when jumping on blocks, pigs in Bedrock almost take a whole second to jump, while in Java, they just walk over it like it's nothing. One thing that Bedrock does better is when you ride the horse. You actually see your hunger bar along with the XP bar. Sadly, that's not in Java, because as soon as you sit on the horse, your hunger bar gets replaced with horses, and horses jump bar replace your XP bar. It's a bit annoying because it hides actually useful information, so I guess Bedrock gets this one. Bedrock has another cool feature, and that's on foxes, because in Java Edition, if you feed foxes, they will just exist, like before. But in Bedrock Edition, that's completely opposite, because when you give them food, they will actually be loyal to you and attack other mobs that do harm to you, meaning they are almost at the dog's level of safety. Sadly, the cat is not truly left behind in Bedrock. Hate to break it to you, but Bedrock has one more, and that's one more on foxes, because on Bedrock, the fox has 10 hearts of health, while on Java, they are sitting at only 5. I know. They couldn't glaze those foxes more, even if they wanted to. Dogs are super picky in Java Edition because there is no way you will catch any of them eating any seafood, like cooked cod, cooked salmon, tropical fish, puffer fish, although that's a bit different in Bedrock Edition, where they eat everything. In Bedrock Edition, if you spawn a wandering trader with its spawn egg, the 2 llamas that naturally spawn next to him will also spawn, but in Java Edition, you will have to leash them together in order to make them look naturally spawned. You probably already know that naming a Vindicator Johnny will make them attack all neutral mobs, but they are a lot more aggressive in Bedrock Edition, because besides attacking all neutral mobs, they will also target baby villagers and armor stands. One mob that is not as strong in Java as in Bedrock is the Ravager, because they would only destroy leaves and crops, while in Bedrock they can break pumpkins, saplings, sugarcane, and roses. A lot more careless. There is a small difference in piglins picking gold, because if you build a spiral like this and add gold at the end, they can't reach it in Java and have to make the full circle, but in Bedrock they somehow can reach it without finishing the whole run. I guess that's normal. Endermites in Bedrock Edition are a lot more aggressive because they will be first to attack Endermans, and not the other way around like in Java Edition, where they are first attacked and then they defend themselves. Endermans hate water since they exist, but in Java Edition you can put them in a cauldron and they won't move an inch even though they are touching the water. In Bedrock, Cauldron is working as it should, and the Enderman will teleport out of it as soon as he touches it. Did you know that dolphins are actually super dangerous because if you accidentally or intentionally punch one, the whole dolphin team will turn onto you, the same as zombie pigmen in the Nether, but that only applies for Bedrock. There is one more small difference between dolphins. In Bedrock Edition, you will see bubbles behind the dolphin as they go, but in Java Edition, there are no bubbles. You know how you will immediately kill a parrot if you feed them a cookie? Well, this is only for the Java Edition, because in Bedrock Edition, they will just be poisonous and won't just die off the start. Everyone knows that when you play music next to parrots, they will all start to dance, but will stop if they come on your shoulder, but that's only for Java, because in Bedrock, they will keep dancing, even if on the shoulder. Axolotls can actually be struck by lightning, and not only that, but in Bedrock, they instantly die, but in Java, you still have just a few seconds to save them with a water bucket. Some skeletons can actually pick up swords when you drop them in Bedrock Edition, meaning they can be even more dangerous. In Java, hitting something too fast means you'll deal less damage due to the attack cooldown mechanic, but this version also lets you hit multiple enemies at once with sweeping edge attacks. Bedrock skips the cooldown entirely, which works better on mobile devices, but it doesn't have sweeping attacks at all. On Java, throwing snowballs or eggs at another player won't push them back at all. Bedrock works differently. Those same throws do cause knockback. Bedrock restricts the offhand slot to a limited set of items, things like shields, tipped arrows, totems of undying, and maps. Java is more flexible, letting you place any item there. In Java, void damage kicks in once you're 64 blocks below Bedrock, hitting you for 2 hearts every 0.05 seconds. Bedrock's void damage starts later at 82 blocks below Bedrock and ticks 10 times slower, every 0.5 seconds, so you can survive roughly twice as long before dying. Take a hit of 2 or more damage on a mob in Java, and you'll see dark heart particles appear. Bedrock doesn't show this effect at all. In Java, you raise your shield by holding down the right click. Bedrock swaps this out for crouching instead, though it does have one convenience Java lacks. Your shield goes up automatically while you're riding a horse. Java's crossbow has 465 durability, 1 point higher than Bedrock's 464. On Java, a charged creeper explosion nets you just 1 skull max, no matter how many mobs die in the blast. Bedrock is more generous. Every mob killed drops its own individual skull. Fire arrows through tight gaps like beds, anvils, grindstones, or cauldrons in Java, and they'll sail right through. On Bedrock, those same arrows get lodged in place, hovering stuck inside the block. Get shot in Java, and the arrows will visibly stick into your character model. On Bedrock, there's no visual. The arrows don't attach, you just take the hit. Skeletons underwater behave differently on Bedrock. Instead of firing arrows at you, they'll switch to melee attacks. Java's enchanted golden apples grant regeneration 2, while Bedrock's version is significantly more powerful, giving you regeneration 5 instead. On Java, impaling only boosts damage against aquatic mobs like guardians and squid. Bedrock is broader. It buffs damage against any mob that's touching water, which means you can exploit it by simply placing a water bucket near non-aquatic enemies. Armor stands holding a totem never get saved from death on Java, no matter the cause. Bedrock is a bit different. Potion effects like a harming potion can actually trigger the totem to save the armor stand, though direct attacks like swords, bows, or flint and steel still won't set it off. Set up TNT in a particular pattern on Bedrock, and the explosion actually forms a heart shape. Try that same arrangement on Java though, and you just get a regular randomly shaped blast. Water destroys redstone components on contact in Java. Bedrock is more forgiving. Components like repeaters, tripwire hooks, levers, and buttons continue functioning even when submerged. Placing a lever right on a piston in Java means it breaks the moment the piston fires. On Bedrock, that same lever survives just fine, and the same goes for buttons. Attach a lever to the side of a piston in Java, and it'll break. On Bedrock, that same side-mounted lever functions without issue. Bedrock allows comparators and repeaters to be placed on top of walls and fences, though you still can't lay redstone dust on them. Try to push a chest or furnace with a piston in Java, and nothing happens. Bedrock allows it. Tile entities like these can actually be pushed. Bedrock lets you power armor stands with redstone to change their pose, which opens the door to builds like a redstone-driven dancing coffin contraption. On Bedrock, grindstones need a block underneath supporting them or they break, a quirk that makes chain reaction collapse builds possible. Set off one end crystal near others in Java, and the nearby crystals simply vanish. No chain reaction. Bedrock is a different story. End crystals chain explode instantly, making them even more destructive than TNT. Java conduits float just above the ground. On Bedrock, they sit flush against the surface instead. Bedrock displays books 2 pages at a time, which means you need double the pages to hit the same comparator signal strength that Java achieves with a single page display. Bedrock's lightning rods reach a 128 block radius, double Java's 64 block range. When lightning hits a lightning rod in Java, it briefly flashes white, a change that can even be made permanent with a debug stick. Bedrock rods don't change color at all, regardless. On Bedrock, light blocks can be swapped out just by placing another block on top, can be shifted around with pistons, and release particles when broken. Plus, their textures look different from Java's version altogether. Iron bars appear symmetric on Bedrock, while on Java, they look more random and varied. Bedrock renders glass panes with a 3D texture, while Java sticks to 2D. That flatness in Java, especially with the light gray stained glass pane, which is nearly invisible in your inventory, comes in handy for custom goo tricks that just don't translate the same way on Bedrock. The scaffolding item texture differs slightly between versions. Bedrock connects the bottom section in a different way than Java does. Java lets you burn wool carpet as furnace fuel, which is what makes the infinite fuel carpet duper possible. Bedrock blocks that use for carpet, but it compensates by letting you use beehives as fuel instead. On Java, cakes can't stack at all. You're stuck with just 1 per slot. Bedrock lets them stack all the way up to 64. Bedrock's chest item has a noticeably larger texture and model, a holdover from reused old Pocket Edition assets. When older Bedrock worlds got updated, legacy wooden slabs were converted into petrified oak slabs. Break one of these today though, and you'll only get a regular oak slab in return, which is what makes the genuine petrified oak slab item such a rare find now. Bedrock's lily pads have noticeable thickness to them, unlike Java's, which stay completely flat. In Java, only the specific half of a double block, like a door or bed, that your cursor is hovering over gets outlined. Bedrock treats the whole double block as a single unit, outlining it entirely. On Bedrock, drawing back a crossbow shows your arm and the crossbow itself moving. Java skips this. Your hand stays out of view throughout the animation. Java holds items parallel to the ground, whereas Bedrock tilts them at a slight angle. The book on Java's enchanting table animates more slowly compared to Bedrock's version. Java labels it steak, while Bedrock just calls it cooked beef. Java's super flat presets include actual structures like villages and strongholds, giving you variety. Bedrock's flat world option skips structures entirely and offers no customization beyond flat grass. Java's plains biome is packed with dense grass and plants, while Bedrock's version has far less vegetation, leaving it more open and easier to build on. Igloo windows on Bedrock are made of packed ice, so they're opaque. Java uses regular transparent ice instead, though it'll melt if a furnace is nearby. Huge mushrooms can spawn naturally in swamps on Bedrock, but this doesn't happen on Java. Bedrock lets you grow coral with bone meal underwater in any biome, deserts included. Java is stricter, requiring a warm ocean biome specifically. On Java, coral blocks inevitably die and fade to gray no matter what's around them. Bedrock coral, on the other hand, stays alive and vibrant as long as it's completely sealed in by solid blocks with no air gaps. Java caps its world border at around 30 million blocks. Bedrock has no hard border at all. Instead, the world progressively glitches out the further you travel. Movement gets jittery and paintings start floating around 524,000 blocks. Ground movement becomes impossible past 4.1 million blocks, flying only. Small mobs like pigs fall through the world at 8.3 million blocks, and a corrupted Farlands-esque zone shows up at 16.7 million blocks. Java's render distance tops out at 32 chunks, while Bedrock can push all the way to 96. Sunsets drag on noticeably longer in Java. Bedrock transitions to darkness much faster. Spiders can scale magma block walls in Java, so they're a poor choice for barriers. On Bedrock, spiders can't climb them at all, making magma blocks a solid, safe wall material. You're able to build on top of the nether roof in Java. Bedrock blocks this entirely, preventing any construction up there. Bedrock's creative menu organizes items into expandable categories and still lets you use the crafting grid. Java's version is comparatively messier and drops the crafting grid entirely. Java displays your active potion effects right in the inventory screen. Bedrock moves this to its own dedicated potion menu, opened with Z. Java's death screen keeps things simple, while Bedrock's adds a dynamic zoom-out effect that reveals your last location. Java's advancement menu is a tangled branching tree that can be hard to follow. Bedrock opts for a tidier layout that shows your completion percentage up front. Bedrock's chat window takes over the full screen, but comes with quick command buttons built in. Java keeps its chat minimal and uncluttered by comparison. Bedrock includes a built-in emote menu. Press B, featuring various dance moves, some locked behind mine coins. Java has no equivalent emote system whatsoever. Highlight an enchanted item in your Bedrock hotbar, and all its enchantments pop up on screen. Java doesn't offer this feature. Bedrock also has a small character icon tucked in the top left corner of the UI, displaying whatever armor you currently have equipped. Switching game modes in Java means typing out the entire mode name. Bedrock allows shorthand instead, like S for survival or C for creative, which is especially convenient on mobile. Java includes sound subtitles that visually flag nearby noises, a helpful feature for players who are deaf or hard of hearing. Java's eating animation is pretty bare bones, just a few particles near your mouth. Bedrock goes further, animating your arm actually raising the food up to your mouth. On Bedrock, you can set up a hidden shulker box that opens to release a creeper you can't see, and you can do this whole thing in survival mode. You can also use a piston to push a shulker into a chest on Bedrock, making a working shulker chest. This also only needs survival mode. Bedrock lets you make an air bubble jet using powdered snow and a trick with the end portal without needing any water or soul sand nearby. If you splash an armor stand with an invisibility potion on Bedrock, it looks like the item on it is just floating in the air. If you place TNT in a certain pattern on Bedrock, it blows up in the shape of a heart. Do the same thing on Java, and it just blows up in a normal, random shape. On Bedrock, if a llama spits on you, you can hit the spit back at it, drop an item on a bell, and it will ring by itself. But this only happens on Bedrock. Throw a snowball through fire on Bedrock and it turns into a fire snowball that can actually set mobs on fire. On Java, doing this does nothing to mobs. Minecarts on Bedrock can travel through bubble columns to move fast, which is great for building quick roller coasters. On Java, you can use a debug stick to make illegal doors, but Bedrock doesn't have a debug stick at all, so this trick won't work there. Java lets you switch back and play older versions of the game. This isn't possible on Bedrock. Java supports shader mods like Iris for better visuals. Bedrock instead has a built-in RTX option, but it doesn't support mods for shaders. On Java, you can place paintings inside and around a nether portal to build what's called a painting portal. Java lets you spawn shulkers below the void, letting you build a walkable base down there. This won't work on Bedrock since mobs simply can't spawn below Bedrock in that version. Trapping an Enderman in a boat works on Java because it can't teleport out. On Bedrock though, the Enderman can just teleport straight out of the boat, so the trick fails. Java fishing rods can hook and pull in dropped items. Bedrock fishing rods don't interact with items at all. If you shoot dripstone through an end portal on Java, it can actually hit the next player who loads into the end. On Bedrock, the dripstone just breaks and turns into a dropped item instead. Subscribe if you learned anything new and comment on what version you play on.